Story name, Last Visit. After all, what happened to Jahnavi that even as she counted the last element, the doctor told her husband Aman not to touch her. I have one wish, promise me you will fulfill it. Jahnavi's eyes fixed on my face. Tell me, my aim in life is to fulfill your every wish no matter what. You just tell me and see, I said emotionally. Well then I'll tell you, she said, coming closer to me. Her eyes were like an ocean of love for me. I could feel the love for me overflowing in her calm, happy, blue eyes. She wrapped her arms around me and gently touched my lips. That moment was unique. The most beautiful and precious moment of life that had settled in our arms for some time, and then she gently turned aside with a smile and said, "Only this moment is what I want to experience in the last moment of my life. Promise me that you will be by my side the moment I leave you. I will take my last breath in your loving arms." Her words touched my heart. I got emotional and said, "I promise, but I won't let such a time come. I will also go with you. What will I do alone?" I hugged her. Just the thought of her leaving made my heart beat faster. I loved her very much. My life was my Jahnavi. The girl I fell in love with on my first day in college was Jahnavi. Saw her for the first time and continued to see her. It is said that it is love at first sight that I have only seen in movies so far. I always joked about it, but when it happened to me, I experienced firsthand how we become someone's forever. Jahnavi and my friendship was famous throughout the college. My family also readily accepted our love. I went to New York for medical education, and Jahnavi stayed in Delhi. We were apart for a few years, but connected in heart. When I came back after completing my studies, I joined a good hospital immediately. Jahnavi was also working in a company. Without further delay, we got married. We were living a very happy life. One morning, Jahnavi entered my arms and said softly, "Navroba, get ready now. Soon you will have to become a horse." I was surprised to hear her talking so strangely. "What are you talking about? Horse and me? Why, for what?" Jahnavi blushed while asking me, "Aren't you going to fulfill your baby's wish?" I understood what she wanted to say. I jumped happily and kissed her forehead. I held her hand and said, "Today you have given me the greatest happiness in the world. I love you so much." We both reached a different world. We started talking less about each other and more about the baby. We would chat for hours about what to buy for the baby, how to keep it, what and how he would talk, what he would do. Being a doctor, I didn't have a lot of time, but whenever I had time, I would buy something for the baby. I had an entire room filled with baby stuff. I was enjoying taking full care of Jahnavi, giving her proper food and medicines, sitting next to her and dreaming about her future. Time flew like wings. 5 months of Jahnavi's pregnancy had passed. We were eagerly waiting for that moment of happiness, but how did we know that our happiness would be spoiled? It was the month of March 2020. The entire world was troubled by the coronavirus. Corona infection had started spreading rapidly in India as well. I had instructed Jahnavi not to step out of the house. Being a doctor, I had to spend a lot of time in the hospital. So I invited her mother to our house, so that she would take care of Jahnavi in my absence. Meanwhile, one afternoon Jahnavi's childhood friend Priya comes to meet her. Jahnavi is very happy to meet her. When Jahnavi said that Priya had returned from Washington 2 days ago, I got worried and said, Jahnavi, this is not right. Do you know people returning from abroad are the biggest carriers of the disease? Jahnavi, you shouldn't have gone near her. So you mean I should have stopped my girlfriend at the door when she came to congratulate me on my wedding and the baby? You can't come in. Can't meet me. Is it right to behave like this, Aman? Yes, you are right, Jahnavi. You are a doctor's wife. Do you know corona patients have also started to be found in our country, and this disease is spreading from outside in India? Yes, but she came from Washington, not Wuhan. Still, I made her wash her hands. Be that as it may, but Jahnavi is telling me that you have not done the right thing. You are pregnant, you are at high risk. Coronavirus is not only on hands but also in clothes. Even if she coughs even once, there is a risk of infection. Please don't repeat this mistake in the future even if it's for me, I explained to her. Well, never again. We stopped that topic there. Meanwhile, the number of patients in the hospital was increasing, making it difficult for me to return home on time. After that, suddenly there was a lockdown in the country. I could not go home for 6 to 7 days. I used to inquire about Jahnavi's health over the phone. Having to live with corona patients, I was avoiding going home by myself, as I did not want the virus to reach Jahnavi from me. Meanwhile, one day I got to know from the phone that Jahnavi is not well. When I asked, she said that she was having dry cough and fever for 2 to 3 days. She was trying to recover with simple fever medicines, but now she was having trouble breathing. I was very scared. All these symptoms were of corona. I was numb. On the one hand, Jahnavi was pregnant, and on the other, this horrible disease. I immediately admitted her to the intensive care unit of the hospital. In the examination, it was found that she has coronavirus. I was watching her for 24 hours. I was disturbed by her concern. Her condition was deteriorating. She was not affected by any medicine. Then one day a medical team announced that it was no longer possible to save Jahnavi. That moment was so shocking for me that I burst into tears. How can Jahnavi, who is my life, leave me? I sat like that for a long time with watery eyes. I remembered everything about Jahnavi from the beginning till now, and then suddenly I remembered the promise that Jahnavi took from me. The promise of being near at last. Promise to say goodbye with a hug. I knew that in case of death due to corona, even the dead body of the patient is not given to the family. Before death, the patient is covered with plastic wrap. I also knew that the time was approaching when Jahnavi would never be seen again, never touched. I made up my mind that I will definitely fulfill my promise. I was standing a little distance from Jahnavi's bed along with other doctors and nurses. Everyone was worried. That's when I took off my gown, took off my gloves, and then started taking off my mask. Everyone was stopping me from doing that. A doctor even tried to hold me down, but I didn't stop. I knew, if not now, then never again. I went ahead. I went to Jahnavi and sat beside her. I took her hand in mine. At my touch, she opened her closed eyes with great difficulty. For a few moments I kept looking at her and she at me. Then I touched her lips and supported her with my hands. Tears were flowing from both of our eyes. At that time, Jahnavi moved away from me and somehow placed her finger on her lips and started gesturing to me, "No, Aman, no. Please go, Aman, go. I love you so much. I love you too." I touched her again, but because of her stubbornness, I had to stand up and walk away. My fellow doctor immediately gave me sanitizer. Sanitized my lips along with my hands. I was immediately sent for a bath. I was crying profusely while taking a bath because I knew it was my last meeting with Jahnavi. Today's story is for you. Let us know how you feel. Tell me for sure. Like the story. Like the channel, share it. And subscribe the channel. Thanks.